In this video, I'm going to try and do a bit of a catch-up on Betty the Ford Fairmont here. I just think there can't be many times in life that an Altsit has met a Ford Fairmont. Romania meets Australia. Welcome to the odd world that is my life. And we've got Betty up on stands at the moment because when we brought her back from the motorist, we were having some issues with very slightly binding rear brakes. I'll get into that in a moment, but first we better have a bit of a catch-up generally, because as you're probably aware, it's been a bit of an eventful month for Betty the Fairmont. She finally gained road legality in the UK, then we had an off after just 500 miles and did some damage to the back, and we think there may still be some damage which we'll get to in a moment. But crashed on the Friday. On the Saturday, my friend Andrew over in Melbourne pulled a couple of half shafts out of scrap cars, sent the best one over here. He posted it on the Monday, it arrived on the Thursday, quite remarkable, and was fitted by my friend Eddie on the Friday. So lots of people have helped get Betty back on the road. I am forever grateful. They are amazing people. I'm still quite astonished at how quickly it all happened, but because you lot were so generous with donations and stuff, we were able to opt for the express delivery, and I think post Monday arrive Thursday is pretty darned express from the other side of the world. And your contributions also helped retire Betty. She's now on Continental's Conti Eco Contact tyres, which I've used before and found most excellent. So hopefully the handling will be a little more secure. There was definitely something wrong with that road surface. It was resurfaced on the Monday after my off, in fact, and everyone has left messages saying how notorious that spot is. But it must be said, better rubber is going to help you out in a low grip situation like that, and hopefully I can get my confidence back, because it has been hit somewhat. I'm not quite as comfortable as I was. To be honest, I'm never hugely comfortable with rear wheel drive, so I always tend to drive well within what I think are safe limits, and that's what's so annoying about getting caught out on that roundabout. It was entirely unexpected. I wasn't arsing about it, it just went all over the place. Just to quickly cover some of the work I have done, I had a video where I tried fixing the window switches. Sadly, that mostly suffered from sound issues on that clip, which is why it hasn't come out yet, but I shall drop some footage in here. It's very bad. Could do some new contacts. I'll just drop that into the switch. That's great. And you can see how you got these little clips, these little rocker contacts. They were all badly worn because I think the switches stick and then the contacts simply burn out. It's not a great design, and at one stage I managed to tip all the contacts all over the floor, so that was great. But we have now got the situation where both windows, this side work, the passenger side front window works. I didn't touch the switch that side, it was all because of a stuck switch on the driver's side, but the near side rear still not working. Need to investigate that one more. That might be something a bit more sinister than a mere switch, but we'll bring you to where we are today. So here is Betty with her new half shaft fitted, but we do have a slight issue going on, which I'll attempt to demonstrate. If I fire her up, if you keep an eye on that disc, I don't know if you can see from that angle, there is a fair old run out on it. So I think perhaps we actually managed to bend the disc. So we've replaced the backing plate, new bearing, new half shaft completely, but that is still not ideal. If I actually knock her into neutral, there's still a bit of drive through the transmission, so it keeps going, and it tends to then start getting a bit sticky as it rotates. So yeah, that's not great. So it looks like we're probably going to need some discs. Now we've got some new pads fitted because the pads were wafer thin. We've got some EBC green stuff pads. I'm just going to turn the engine off before we choke ourselves. But unfortunately EBC don't seem to do discs, they only list the pads. EBC is a British company So they've got plenty of these pads in stock, but don't seem to stock a disc. But I mean, you've got drag of the transmission itself, and it doesn't seem like it's binding. I can feel that feels like just a drag of the transmission. So I've tried replicating it because it's been building heat up in this hub. Handbrake is fine, that's all loose, but yeah, it looks like we're going to need new discs. So that's a bit of a pain because it looks like I'm going to have to get those from Australia. I can't find anyone selling them in the UK. I might try Coleman Milne again, and there's rumours that some Ford dealers can actually get the bits as well, but yeah, could be a while to sort that one out. So that's where we are. Hugely grateful to everyone who's helped along the way with this one. It was so good to see what a response Betty got at the motorist for the Hubnut social. There was a crowd flocking around her all day. She looked like she was loving the attention. So it's nice to know other people have bought into this car just as much as I have, really. Staggering times. But that's where we are. It's not much of an update, but that's where we are with Betty. You're going to have to order up some rear discs by the look of it. But yeah, still plenty to do. She still needs a service. I wonder what I did with that oil filter. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But there will be more Betty updates in future. So thank you very much for watching. And don't forget, you can head to the store and buy hoodies, t-shirts and stickers and even fridge magnets, I think we've got with Betty on, if you need some Betty in your life. So thank you. See you in a future video.
This should be a relatively simple procedure on this car. First job obviously will be to take the brake caliper off. There's two bolts that secure the piston part of the caliper to the bracket, and then once the piston part's out of the way we can whip the pads out, and then we need to take this bracket off, which is secured also by two bolts around the back. All four of these bolts are 15mm sockets, so nice and straightforward there. Once the caliper is out of the way, we can take this screw out of the disc, and the disc encompasses the handbrake mechanism inside, which is basically a drum brake. So we take this screw out, pull the disc off, and then behind it we're left with the hub and the bearing flange, the back plate and so on. Behind the hub there'll be 4 bolts. We whip those 4 bolts out, and then the whole back plate, half shaft and everything will just pull straight out of the axle. Well, that's the theory anyway. Well, we know that the half shaft is bent. What is also quite apparent here, I don't know if you can see this on camera, is there's kind of like a clean strip here where all the rust and brake dust and stuff has kind of popped off, and that's where, when it's flexed, the brake disc has actually hit the back plate and it's bent the bottom of the back plate slightly. So although I don't think the caliper mount is bent, the very bottom of the back plate is slightly bent, and of course that affects where the handbrake shoe sits, so obviously that needs changing as well. So that's it, all complete, nice and straight now. EBC pads, so we've got some decent pads in there as well now. EBC come with a special backing that you can put on them. It's like a self-adhesive piece that you put on, so it doesn't need lubricating between the caliper and the pad. So really that's it, everything tight and looking good.